Hello once again. Welcome to Zephyr's BI and Analytics, where we are charting success with insights as our compass. My name is OK Ifasa, and I am a Microsoft Certified Data Analyst Associate. Today on this channel, we're going to be working on another interesting data project. That's the Electronics Product Rating Analysis. So if it's your first time on this channel, please subscribe, click on the notification button to always stay updated. Let's talk about this project. Companies oftentimes, when they create a new product, they give customers the opportunity to leave ratings, review, or recommendation to product either at the point of purchase, sales, or after consumption. These ratings or reviews go a long way to influence product sales and popularity. Companies, on the other hand, take these ratings and reviews from customers to see how much more they can improve on their products. For this project, we're going to be working on the electronic product rating dataset provided by dataDNA for their February 2024 data challenge. I'm going to be walking you through my submission for the challenge, which actually made the top 5 for the submission. We're going to be walking through the entire data process, the visualization process, my thought process, and most especially the UI. So first, let's take a peek at my report. This was my report and my submission for the data challenge. It's a 2-page report. The first page provides an overview to the total reviews, the average rating, the recommendation rate, the rating source, total product, and total brands. It also provides insight into the highly rated product, the lowly rated product, highly recommended product, lowly recommended product, the best performing brands, and all. The second page, which is the review, afford users the opportunity to view the different products, the reviews, the ratings received by the different products. You can also filter by the sources of the ratings and the review. And of course, you can filter by the different brands to also see the rating received by different products for the different brands. This is the report we are going to be working on. I'm going to walk you through the entire process to create this report. When necessary, we will need to make some modifications to this report to suit our needs. So stay with me. Let me take you to my LinkedIn so you can actually see more details on the challenge. We are currently on my LinkedIn profile. So while we're here, I'll quickly scroll down carefully. I'll click on Show All Posts. I'll scroll down. This was actually the certificate that was presented to me in recognition of my achievement as one of the runner-up for the challenge. I'll scroll down. You can actually see we had over 97 submissions for this challenge. When I expand this, challenge winner, runner-up, 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 and this is my report. So we are going to be recreating this report. So before we begin, let me quickly walk you through how we can actually download the data set for this report. While we're here, I'll navigate to my browser. I'll paste the link, onyxdata.co.uk. I hope I actually pronounced it well. onyxdata.co.uk. I'll hit the enter button. While I'm here, I'll quickly navigate to dataDNA. I'll navigate to dataset challenge. Once I'm on this page, I'll carefully scroll down. I'll scroll down carefully. Great. Until I find archived datasets. Archived datasets. Archived datasets. I'll click on it. I'll scroll down. Here you're going to find February 2024 Electronic Product Data Ratings Dataset. I'll click on download. Once I do that, it will require me to enter my full name, which I'm going to enter, my email address. I'll select the visualization tool, which is PowerBI, and I'll click on download. This automatically brings me to OneDrive. I'll hit the download button. I've successfully downloaded a copy of the dataset. So now I'll navigate to my download, my folder. This is my download folder. I have a copy of the dataset in a zip file. So I'll simply right click. I'll say extract file, extract here. I'll click on extract here, and I automatically have a copy of the dataset here. Next, let's see how we can begin working on the dataset to create our dashboard. So once we are on our Power BI desktop, the first thing we need to do is bring in our dataset. To do that, I'll come to Get Data, Excel Workbook. I'll navigate to my downloads where I have the dataset. I'll select the dataset. That's dataDNA Dataset Challenge. I'll click on Open. Once the navigator pane is open, I'll check the dataset. This is actually the data dictionary. You can go through the data dictionary to get a clear understanding of the dataset. Next, I'll come to transform data. Once we are on Power Query, I'll quickly rename this table from dataset to fact electronics review. Next, let's quickly observe the columns we have in this dataset. We have the ID column, the brand, the categories, we have the colors, date added, date updated, dimension, the image URL, which is actually the product URL. We have keys, manufacturer, manufacturer number. We have the name of the product, the review dates, down to the review rating. We have the review's title, the review's text, the username, the source, and finally the weight. I didn't actually perform much transformation on this data set. But before we proceed, let's quickly go back to the report we are trying to recreate. While we're here, I'll navigate to table view. If you notice, I have 3-dimension tables here. I have a dimension brands. I created this table because I wanted the icon to the different brands. These did not come with the data set. I had to manually go online, search for these icons, and impute them into the table. For the product category, I wanted to decluster the product category, so I created this table. And for the review source, I also wanted the icon to the different sources, so I had to manually go online, search for this icon, and impute them on this table. To save time for this report, I already published a Google Sheet link, which is attached to the comment section of the video. All you need to do is grab the link, put it on your browser. You'll be able to download the 3-dimension table. To do that now, I'll navigate back to our Power Query. While we're here, I'll simply come to my notepad. I'll grab the link. Remember, the link is attached to the comment section of this video. I'll navigate to my browser. Once my browser is open, I'll simply paste the link, hit the enter button. With this, I have downloaded the dimension tables. Next, I'll go to Power Query. I'll come to New Source, Excel Workbook. I'll navigate to my downloads. I'll select the dimension tables. I'll click on Open. Once the navigator pane opens, I'll check the brand, category, and the reviews. I'll click on OK. While we're in Power Query, since we have a facts table and dimension table, we need to be able to define the columns that we'll use to establish a relationship between the fact table and the dimension table. For the brand, we are going to be using the brand column, which is a common column between the brand, dimension, and the fact table. Ideally, we should be using the brand ID, but we don't have a brand ID column on the fact table. We actually have a brand column, which is a unique column on this dimension table. So we should be able to establish a connection to the fact table. For the review source, we're also going to be using the review source column against the source ID. That's because we don't have a source ID column on the fact table. While for the product category, we're going to be using the product name because the product name is actually unique to this table. Note that we still don't have a product ID on the fact table. So with this column, we should be able to establish a connection to the fact table. But before we do that, let's quickly go to our facts table. That's the fact electronic reviews table. We don't actually have a review source column on this table. Rather, we have a source URL. But in between the source URL, there is a source. You can actually see the source. For this is Best Buy. So we need to systematically extract the source from this column. To do that, I'll select this column. I'll navigate to transform. I'll come to extract. I'll say extract between delimiters. I'll select this. Between the delimiters, I'll put a full stop, dot, full stop, and I'll click on OK. With this, we've succeeded in extracting the review source from this column. So I'll quickly rename this column from review source URL to review sources. Great. Now we can establish a connection between the two tables. The next thing I'm going to do is quickly check review rating. This is reviews rating. If you scroll down, you simply see we have no, then we have 1 to 5. 1 indicates, of course, there was rating. So for the no values, it simply means there was no rating for those products. So what I'll do is I'll select all. I'll select the no. I'll click on OK. The next thing I'll do is simply right click on this row, any of the row on the ratings review while filtered to null. I'll say replace values. I'll replace the null with 0, which means there was no rating. I'll click on OK. Once I've done that, I'll come to the applied steps pane here. I will cancel, check carefully. I'll cancel the filtered row. It's going to query me, are you sure you want to delete this step? I'll say yes, I want to delete that step. I'm actually deleting the filtered row, so I'll delete that step. Now, if you come to the reviews rating column and you check, you actually see you have 0 to 5. So why did I do this? That's because I simply want to create a column, and I want to call that column received rating or not. So if the review rating is 0, that means rating wasn't received. If it's greater than 0, that means rating was received. So what I'll do now is simply come to add column, conditional column. I'll say rating dot given. I'll say if the reviews rating is greater than 0, that means rating was given, else no rating. It's a simple thing, simple conditional column. If the review rating is greater than 0, that means rating was given, else no rating. I'll click on OK. Great. Before we also proceed, I also want to make sure that I have a column called rating icon. That's because I want the rating. If it's 1, it should display 1 star. If it's 2, it should be 2 star. If it's 3, it should be 3 star, and so. So let's quickly navigate back to the report we're trying to create now. So if I scroll down and come to custom column, this is actually what we're trying to implement. It's simply a custom column using an if function. This is actually the function. So this is the M query. I'll simply copy M query. I'll click on OK. I'll navigate back to our report now. So while we're here, what I want to do is I'll come to add column now. I'll say custom column. The name of the column is simply rating.icon. I'll paste the code. Now, it's a very simple code. In case you're wondering how I got this star icon here, quickly navigate to your browser. While you are on your browser, you can simply search for star. Okay, you can simply type star Unicode, copy paste, whatever you want to type, star Unicode, copy paste. Then come to this website, star symbol, text to copy. That's Namecheap. Click on this website. Once you're here, simply scroll down carefully. You see a black star. All you need to do is hit the button here to copy this. Copied. I'll close this now. So I'll simply delete this and I'll hit Ctrl V on my keyboard to paste the star. So that's how you can go grab the star icon and use it to write the same query. So once I'm done, I'll click on OK. This automatically creates a column with the rating icon. So 5 star means 5-star rating, 4-star rating, 3-star, 2-star rating. Once we're done with this, I'll simply come to File, I'll say Close and Apply. Once this process is done, you can actually see we have 4 tables. We have our dimension table, brand, category, reviews, and our fact table, the electronic ratings. So we quickly need to go to model view. While we are on model view, we need to identify our fact table. This is our fact table. You can clearly see that automatically a relationship has been established between our review source using the review source column and our brand using the brand column. But for our product category, there is no relationship to our fact table yet. So what we need to do is simply look for, scroll down. So we have the name here, column on the fact table, and we have the name column on the product table. That's the dimension product. So I'll click to establish a relationship. Great. So we have a one-to-many relationship between our fact table and our dimension table. We also need to create one more table, but before we do that, I'll quickly go to transform data. I'll navigate to our product category dimension table. On this table, we have 3 columns that are not necessary. So I'll select the first column, hold down my control button, select the second and the third, right click and remove columns. I'll click on close and apply. We need to create one more table, and that's our date table. In Power BI, there are so many ways to create a calendar table, a date table. But for this report, we only need the year and probably the month. So what we're going to do while we're here is simply come to new table. Once the new table is established, what I'll do is simply call this table, we can call this table dimension date table, and say I'll simply call on the function calendar as calendar auto. I'll close the brackets, hit the enter button. I'll navigate to table view now to see this table. This is actually the dimension table. It has created a column with the dates. So what I'll do next is simply change the format to day, day, month, month, and year, year. So I have a date column in my dimension date table. The next thing I want to do is to add another column for the year. So while on this table, I'll simply click on new column. I'll name this column year, equal to sign. I'll say year. So I want the year from my dimension date table. It's asking for the date. I want the dimension date table date. So I want just the year. I'll close the bracket. So in my dimension date table, I want the year. I'll hit the enter button. This will automatically extract the year. I also want the month. So the next thing I'll do, I'll simply say new column again. I'll call this column month number. I'll say month. It's also going to ask me for the date, so I'll say dimension date date. The date column of the dimension table. I'll hit the enter button. This will create a new column for me with the month number. And finally, I want the month name. I'll simply say new column once more. I'll call this column month name. I'll say format this time around. Open the bracket. What I want to format is the dimension date date. I want to format the dimension date date, and I want to extract the month name. That's 4M symbol. I'll close this, close. Next thing I'll do is hit the enter button. With this, I am actually done with my calendar table. I can go ahead to add several columns for day, weekday, fiscal year, and so, but this is just what I need in my calendar table. So once I'm done with this, I'll go back to my model view now. I want to establish a connection between my dimension date table and my facts table. And I want to do that, establish that connection using the review date column, reviews date column. There are several dates on the fact table, but I actually want to maintain a connection between the review date column and my date table. So I'll click establish a connection to the fact table using the review date column. This is also a one-to-many relationship. So with this, my model is actually complete. I'll navigate back to report view. So once we are on report view, we can begin the process of recreating this report. But first, let's quickly take a look at the report we want to replicate. This is the report we want to create. I want to draw your attention to something. Before creating this report, I've actually sat down, took my time, do the analysis before deciding to create this report. So how did I come about the UI for this report? Oftentimes when I'm done with my analysis, I create a wireframe, then I go online to search for inspiration. For this report, I simply went online. So one of the sites I normally check to get inspiration, UI inspiration for my report is actually Pinterest. That's Pinterest. Pinterest. I hope I got the pronunciation right. That's Pinterest or Pinterest. Pinterest. So for this report, this is actually the dashboard. This is actually the dashboard that inspired me to create the report the way I actually created it. Remember, this is not mine. This is actually on Dribble, so I think I'll expand this so you can see this on this Pinterest. This is actually the dashboard that inspired me. So let's see, dribble.com. Yes, dribble.com. So it's actually from dribble.com. Then you see the rating dashboard. So it's actually quite different from what we have, but this was actually where I got the inspiration, and I decided that okay, this is the color theme I'm going to go with. This is how I actually want my report to look like, at least something similar to this. So now we can begin the process of creating the reports. We navigate back to Power BI. The first thing we're going to do now, I'm going to take you to PowerPoint where we can actually design this UI, then we'll bring it to Power BI before we start creating the report. We're going to make some modifications to this report. This page is supposed to be an overview page, so I won't be adding any filters to this page. So for this, I'm going to make this UI more, I'm going to create space for the charts to be bigger compared to what we have here. So stay with me, let's go to PowerPoint and see how we can actually design a simple UI for this report. Now I have a blank PowerPoint presentation open. So before we begin, I would like to draw your attention that I'm not a UI designer. So we're going to be doing a lot of, cutting and joining stuff together to actually get the UI for the report or dashboard that we're trying to create. So first, I will simply just remove these. While we have this background, I would like to change the background color. So if you come to my browser, this is the background color we'll be using. So I have a Chrome extension that would allow me get the background color, that's color picker. I'll click on the background. So the background color code is actually EDE9E2. So I'll copy the color code. Go back to my PowerPoint. I'll right click on this background. While on my PowerPoint, I'll right click. I'll say format background. I'll change the background, that's solid fill. I'll change the color. I'll go to more colors, custom. I'll delete this and paste the color code, that's EDE9E2, and click on OK. Great. Once I have this done, the next thing I want to do is come to Insert, Shapes. I'll pick, let me search for the shape. I'll pick, great. So I'm going to pick this block arc. I'll quickly draw this. This is the block arc. I would want to rotate it, so I'll rotate. This is what I want. The next thing I'm going to do now is simply place this here. I would increase the size, also increase the size. I'll just make some adjustments to increase the size. I'll keep increasing the size until it extends beyond this page we have here. I'll take it backward a little. I still want to increase it, so I'll take here, increase the size again. Great, so I'll come down. I'll also increase the size. Great, so this is what I want. So I'll adjust back to my page. This is what I want. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'm quickly going to grab the color code for this shape. So I'll navigate back to my Chrome browser. This is the yellow color. I want to grab the color code. So the color code is FFB82D. I'll copy this now. Navigate back to my PowerPoint. While on this shape, I'll go to shape format, refill. I'll come to more colors, more fill colors, custom. I will erase this. I'll paste the color code. That's FFB82D. Click on OK. Great, that's the color. Next thing I want to do is the outline color. I'll simply select the same color. Great, so I have that covered. The next thing I want to do is simply go to Insert, Shapes. I'll pick a rectangle this time around. I'll simply just draw the rectangle here. I'll make it smaller a bit. I'll draw the rectangle here. I'll drop it. So I'll change the color, the shape color also, the fill color, outline color. Great, so I have this sorted out already. The next thing I'm simply going to do is come to Insert again, Shapes. I'll take a rectangle. Now I'm going to draw this rectangle to cover my PowerPoint shape. That's the page shape. I'll do this, make little adjustments. Okay, so I'm good. This is what I want. Now I'll proceed to the shape fill. I'll change the color. I'll pick this color background. That's white background, 5% darker. I'll also change the outline fill. White background, 5% darker. Great. Once I have this done, I think I want to try out, no, okay, so 5% darker is fine. So once I have this figured out, the next thing I want to do is simply go back to Insert again, Rectangle, the text box, Rectangle. Now I'm going to carefully draw this rectangle here. I'll bring it down a little. For this rectangle now, I'm going to change the shape fill to white. I'll change the outline fill to white. Great, so we have this already. Next, I'm going to come to Insert again, Shape. Now I want to pick a line. I'll draw the line underneath the last rectangle, a straight line. Great. Once I have that done, I would come to shape formats. I'll see. Yes, I'll pick this intense line, dark one. I'll pick that. Then I want to change outline fill. I want to make it white. That's 15% darker. I'll pick this. So this is what I have already. This is what I have now. We're almost there. I think it's coming to life. The next thing I'll do, I'll come to insert again, shapes. I'll pick, now I'll pick a rectangle. I'll simply draw this rectangle here. This is supposed to be the filters pane, but like I said, I don't want any filters for the overview page. I'll change the shape field for this to white. I'll change the outline field to white also. Then I'll scroll down a bit. I'll bring this down underneath the line. I still need to take it down a bit. Great, so this is what I want. Now let's begin creating the card visuals, what we need for the card visuals. So now I'll come to insert again. This time around, I'm not going to insert a rectangle, rather I'll come to, yeah, it's still a rectangle, but a rounded corner rectangle. So I'll pick one. Great. I'll reduce the rounded edge a little. I'll reduce the rounded edge a little. Okay, so this is what I want. This is what I want. Then I'll increase the size a bit. Fine. So this is what I want. I'm going to change the color to white, the fill white, outline white. So this is what I want. I'll bring it down a bit. I'll make a duplicate of this. I'll just say Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'll make a duplicate of this. I'll place it here. I'll make one more duplicate, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'll bring it down. I'll increase the size. Take it down a bit. I'll make one more duplicate for this. Bring it down a bit. So I really want to increase the size for this and this. So I'll delete one. I'll simply keep this. I'll delete one of this. I'll increase the size a bit. Okay, I think this is what I want. I'll make a copy now. Next, I'm going to bring this up here. I'll increase it, the size. I'll take it down a bit. Now I'm going to make a duplicate of this. I'll bring it down. Great, so this is what I want. I'll take it up a bit. Great, so this is what I want. I'll simply select this, hold down my control, select this, select this, select this. I'll come to align. I'll come to distribute vertically. No, this is not going to make sense, so I'll simply undo this. I have to do this manually, so I'll do, yeah, great, so this fits. So this is actually for the first section of the report. What I'm going to do next is simply highlight this. I'll make a copy, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'll take this, place it here. Great. Finally, I'll make one more copy, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, place this here. Great, so this is what I want. For now, I'm going to delete this. I only need one. I'll delete this. I'll make a little adjustment. I want just this. I'll make a little adjustment. Great. The next thing I'm going to do now, increase this. I'll increase the size. I'll take it down. Okay, great. So this is what I want. We are still missing out on a few elements. So the next thing I'm going to do is simply come to insert once more. I'll say shapes. I'll pick a rectangle this time around. Great. I want a very I'm supposed to use a line, but I feel the rectangle will be better, so I'll increase this, take it down. Great. I'll place this at the middle, just here. That's fine. I'll change the color to white, outline to white. Great, this is what I want. Then I'll simply make a copy of this and take it to the other side also. Great, so this is actually what I want, or what we need for the report. We need to do one more thing to take care of the icons. So I'll simply come to insert, shapes. This time around I'm going to pick the rounded corners rectangle. I'll simply draw it here. This should accommodate the icon, so I'll shape fill. Why the shape fill now is going to be the 1% white, 5% darker. The outlines will also be white, 5% darker. Great, so this will make space for the icon we are going to be bringing in here. I'll simply make one more copy of this. I'll make one copy of this. I'll take it to this card. Great. Let's quickly confirm with our dashboard. So yes, we have two icons. So we need icons for here, for this and this. So go back to PowerPoint now. I'll make another duplicate of this. I'll simply bring it here to take care of the first icon. So we need a line here to separate this rectangle we have here. So what I'll simply do is copy the line we had here before now. I'll simply copy, paste, I'll reduce the size. I'll bring it here, change the direction, take the line. So I want it here. Great, so we're good. So I'll make a copy of this now. I want it here. Great, so I'll leave it there. I'll make another copy. Place this here, right here. Let me quickly confirm from the dashboard. Okay, great. That's where it's supposed to be. I'll go back. So I need one more copy. Make one more copy of this. Bring it down here. Okay. Yeah, it fits now. So with this, we are actually done with the UI. So one thing we can actually do is we can decide to bring in the icons. The icons I have on the report. This icon for the rating, and also the icon for the highest rated, lowest rated, highly recommended, lowly recommended. We can actually decide to bring the icons while we are on PowerPoint here, include the icons. So to do that, I'll simply go to my browser. I'll open a new page. I'll type Flaticon. That's where I normally get my icons. Flaticon. So for the icon, I want to search for rating. So you can actually use any icon you want. I'll close this. I want to search for rating icon. So I'll simply use this, or let me quickly check. Okay, so that's review, and we have an icon for rating. So I'll download this now. I'll simply download this. So I can download this as a PNG. It's a free download. Yes, continue. So I have that downloaded. So I want to quickly check for an icon for the rating, an icon for the rating. That's the review this time around, not rating, sorry. An icon for the review. For the review. We can actually use this for the review. So I'll simply just take this. I'll download this icon. Let's say PNG, free download. So for the recommended and highly recommended and lowly recommended, we can actually say, let's go back to our report so you see what I'm talking about. So these are the icons I'm talking about. Highest rated product, average rating, more like a smiley, a sad face, then thumbs up, thumbs down. So while we're here, I would simply say smiley face, smile circle. Okay, I need a smile circle. Okay, I can't find the one I want now, so I'll keep searching. I'll just rename and say smiley. Okay, great. So I'll you just search. You can take any of the icons you want. So I'll take this for the smiley face. I'll take this, free download. For the sad face, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this for the sad face. I'll download this. PNG. I'll download this. Great. So, and finally, we need the thumbs up and thumbs down. So, thumbs down. I'll simply take this for the thumb down. Download. You can actually use any icon you prefer. Then I need the thumb up. So I'll take this for the thumb up. So I have the icons I need already. I'll navigate back to my PowerPoint now. I'll come to Insert, Pictures, this device. I'll go to my downloads. So I have thumbs up. I'll pick the thumbs up, the smiley, the sad. I'll pick everything, the icons. I'll click on Insert. While you're here, I'll simply take one at a time. This is the thumbs up. Reduce the size. I'll reduce the size. I'll place it here where it's supposed to be. So I can actually check the size for this. This is height 0.34, 0.37. I'll take the next one. I'll reduce the size. This is actually the smiley face. Smiley face ought to be here, so I'll place it here. I'll take the next one. This is the sad face. This is the sad face. It's here. So we have the sad face, we have the smiley face. So I'm going to ensure we have same size. So we have the smiley face, we have the sad face. Then finally, not finally now. So I'll take this. This is actually the rating. This is the rating. Then this is the review. So I'll reduce the size for the review. I'll place it here. Then for the ratings, I'll place that here. So I have the ratings, the review, then finally the thumbs down will come here. Great. So with this, we have the first page of the UI. That's the overview page. I think this covers the overview page. So let's quickly go to our reports to compare. So we have the overview page covered already. So I'll go to the review page. Okay, we don't really have much to do on the review page. So let's go back to PowerPoint. So while we're here, once we're done, we can actually, so we need this as a picture. Before now, all you need to do is just say Control A, you right click and save this as a picture. But I have the rectangles and the inner background extending, so I won't be able to do this. I'll simply say cancel. Rather, what I'll do is I'll come to search. I'll search for snipping tool. Snipping tool. I'll click on the snipping tool. Then I have this snipping toolbox comes out. The snipping toolbox. I'll click on new. Then I'm allowed to actually snip the section of my screen that I want. So I'll simply do this. Once I have this done, I'll let it go. Then I can come and say file, save as. I want to save this on my picture. I'll call this product rating BG01. I'll save this. So I have this saved already. I'll simply close this now. I'll close this. The next thing I'm going to do is simply make a copy of this. Right click, duplicate slide. Then for the review, we don't need this, so I'm going to delete every other thing we have here. I'm going to delete all this. I'll delete this also. Delete this. Careful when you're deleting. I'll delete this. Delete this. Delete this. Delete. I don't think we need this, so I'll delete. So the only thing we need is just to extend this rectangle. Okay. Great. So this is what we need. So what I'm going to do, I'll go back to search again, come with my snipping tool. I'll also snip this. I'll click on new. Yes, so I want to snip from here down here. Great. So this is actually the review page. So I'm going to say file, save as. Now it's product rating BG02. I'll click on save. I'll close the snipping tool. So with this, I'm actually done. I'll simply just save this, save as, just in case there's any issue and I need to come back to it. I'll say product, that's product rating BG, product rating BG. It's saved on my document, so I'll simply say save. With this, we are done with the UI. I'll simply close my PowerPoint, navigate back to my Power BI. So this is our report we want to recreate. This is the report we want to create. We're done with the UI, so let's go to our report now. So while we're here, let's quickly save our report. I'll come to File, Save As. I'll browse the location. I want to save the file. I'll just call this rating analysis. I want to save this on, that's my downloads, YouTube. Okay, great. So my report is saved. Next, you need to come to format your report page, canvas setting, change the type to custom. The height should be 1080, the width should be 1920, align at the top, and that's fine. Next, I'll go to background. I'll browse the background. Now I have pictures. My background is actually product BG01. I'll look for that. That's product rating BG01. I'll select that, click on open. I'll reduce the transparency, change the fit from normal to fit. So we're good. This is for page 1. I'll simply make a duplicate of this page. This is a duplicate of the page. I'll then go to format again, background. I'll remove this, browse. That's product BG background number 2. This is background number 2. I'll select this. I'll click on open. I'll change the image fit from normal to fit. Good. So I'll rename the page. This is overview. While this page is actually reviews. Great. Now we can begin creating our report. So let's begin by creating the measures we need for our different card visuals. Let's take a look at the report. We have total reviews, the average rating, recommendation rate, rating source, total product, and total brands. Let's navigate back to our reports. Quickly, I'll come to enter data. I'll rename this to DAX. DAX measures. Once the table is created, I'll stay on the table and come to new measure. The first measure we're going to be creating will be for total reviews. And this will simply be a count of the fact table review ID. I'll check this. Once I have this done, I'll come to this my DAX measures table where I have this column 1. I'll click on column 1. I'll right click, delete from model. I'll click on yes. Great. We have the first measure, which is the total reviews created. I'll stay on this table. I'll go to new measure. I'm quickly going to paste this measure. This is the average rating measure. First, I created a variable to hold the average rating, which is average fact electronics review. So this table is review, which is using the average. This is to hold the average of the fact electronic review. That's the reviews rating. Then what I'm doing is I'm returning the reviews rating, I'm formatting it one decimal place, then I'm concatenating it with over 5. That's, I want the review, whatever the review, the average review should be, it should be over 5. So this is the measure to hold the average rating. Once I'm done, I'll check this. I'll quickly navigate to our report. The next measure we want to create is recommendation rates. For recommendation rate, if I come to recommendation rate, here's the measure to calculate the recommendation rate. First, there's a measure to hold the total review, and second, there's another measure to calculate the total review filtered by where do recommend is equals to true. I'll copy this, navigate back to our report. So while we're here, if we come to our table view and navigate to our fact electronics table, there's a column on this table where the user is asked if he or she will recommend the product. That's review. Do recommend. Is asking the user if the user is going to recommend the product. So we have true, false, or blank. I'll go back to our report view. I'll stay on my DAX measures. I'll come to new measure. I'll paste the measure. Remember, it's a different table. So that table was named Fact Electronic Reviews. But this table we're working it is Fact Electronics Review. So I'll simply delete the S. I'll simply delete the S. Wait. So our measure is intact. I'll check this. Finally, what do we have? We have the rating sources, total product, and total brands. Navigate back to our report. While on our measure now, new measure, this will be rating sources, rating sources. We're simply going to count. We have a dimension review source, which is the rating source. I'll search for the table as the source ID. I'll close this. I'll commit. That's the rating source. Next, we need to create a measure for the total product and the total brand. New measure. For the total product, simply be a count on the fact we have the product name. So we can actually use the product name to just count. But we're going to do a distinct count this time around. So we'll do a distinct count for the product name. Once we're done, I'll commit this. Next, we're going to create a measure for the total brand. I'll stay on my measure table, new measure. For the total brand, we'll simply do a count. We have a dimension brand, so we'll use the brand ID. I'll commit this. With this done, we're done with the card visuals we have here. So I'll quickly I'll pick the card visual on the visualization pane. I'll select the first measure, that's total reviews. I'll do a quick format. I'll come to format visual. I'll turn off the category label. Colored value. I'll leave the colored value. Let's turn on the category label and go back to our visualization, change this to the new card. So now for the colored value, I still want it to be 45. I'll come to card. I'll scroll down. I'll turn off the background, turn off the border. We don't need those. I'll scroll up. On the colored value, I'll scroll down. I'll come to labels. I'll scroll down. First, I want to centralize the colored value and the label. I'll scroll down. Is there anything I need to change here? I don't think so. I'll make this bold. I'll scroll up. I'll change the series to total reviews. I'll scroll down now to where I have the display units. I'll take it to none or 1000. Okay, that's fine. Finally, I will change the color to black. That's the label color. I'll close this. I'll close this. I'll close this also. I'll come to general. I'll come to effects. I'll turn off the background. Then finally, while on the build visual, I would come here and remove the hyphen. So I have just total reviews. With this done, I'll reduce the size, drop it on my card visual. Great. So let's quickly compare this to what we have here. That's 7.3K. Okay, two decimal places, total reviews. That's fine. Navigate back to our report now. I'll simply make a duplicate of this. I'll copy, I'll paste. Next, we have the average rating. I'll take this down a bit. We have the average rating. I'll uncheck total reviews. I'll replace with average rating. I'll simply come here, change this to average rating. I'll quickly go to format visual, colored value. I'll scroll down. I'll change the series to average ratings. I'll scroll down to the label. I'll change the label color from this color to black. Next, I'm going to make a copy of this once more. I'll uncheck the average ratings. I'll replace with recommendation. For recommendation rate, I'll select the measure. I'll simply come to percent. I'll change this to 0 decimal places. I'll click on the card once more. I'll navigate to Format Visual, call out values. I'll change the series to recommendation rates. I'll scroll down. On the label, I'll change the color to black. I'll make one copy of the card visual again. This will be for the sources. I'll simply rename, come to Format Visual, call out value, change the series to rating sources. So basically, we're trying to change the color. I'll just make a copy of this again. No, I'll make a copy of this. So we have the total products and the total brands. I will uncheck this, replace with total products. I'll go to formats once more, call out value, change the series to total products, scroll down to the label, change the color to black. Finally, I'll make one more copy. This will be total brands. I'll uncheck this, replace with total brands. Go to format once more, call out value, change the series to total brand. I'll scroll down to the label once more, change the color to black. Come down to format, change the label now from total, that's total brand. I'll remove the hyphen. Great, so with this, we completed the first phase, that's for our card visual. If we navigate back to the report we're trying to recreate, you'll notice that the card visuals, I have the year-on-year percent change for the total reviews, for the average rating, and the recommendation rates. We actually need two measures to achieve this. The first measure will be the year-on-year percent change. This is the total review. Year-on-year percent change for the total review is a very simple measure, a variable holding the previous year and another variable holding the total review. We do a division to get year-on-year change. And once we've done this, we then create another measure to actually indicate if the percentage is actually going upward or downward, if there's an increase or decrease. So I'll copy the first measure, which I've done now, which is total review year-on-year. I'll copy this measure. I'll navigate back to our report. I'll click on the DAX. While on the DAX table, I'll come to new measure. If you actually watch the video for our previous project, we actually did something like this. So now I'm getting an error here. The reason I'm getting an error is simply because the date table on this data is actually called dim date. So I have to add the dim that so that it could be dim so it could recognize the date table. So I'll say dim. So we have the dim date. So I'll simply delete one, leave just one. With this, we've created the measure for the total review year-on-year percent change. Then we need another measure to actually indicate if the review is going upward or downward when compared to the previous year. We navigate back to our report now. We're done with this. That's this measure, TR year-on-year percent. So it's a simple measure. What it's simply doing is indicating if the review is actually going upward or downward using the arrow, which is the unichar codes we have here, 129, 149, 129, 150. So I'll simply copy this code now. I'll copy this code, navigate back to our reports. I'll come to the DAX measures. I'll click on new measure. I'll paste. Once I paste this, I'll check, commit the measure. So next, I'm going to come to the card visual here. I'll simply pick a card visual. I'll select, now I'm going to select the T arrow year-on-year percent. That's because I want the value and also the arrow indicator. Great, now we're getting the arrow indicator, but we are not getting the value. So what you need to do is simply come to transform data. Transform data. On the fact electronic review, quickly locate the review date column. This is the review date column. We actually have the date and time. We only need the date, so go to transform, change the data type from date and time to just date. Once you're done with this, come to File, close and apply. Once we've done that, we should be able to get the value and also the indicator. So I'll select this card visual. I'll come to Format. I'll turn off the category label. I'll come to the colored value. I'll reduce the colored value to 12. I'll make it 14. Wait. I'll reduce the size. I'll come to General, Effects. I'll turn off the background. So we have the year-on-year percent change compared to the previous year. I also want the color indicator. So what I'm going to do, I'll select the card visual now, this card visual. I'll come to Format, Visual. On the colored value, for colors, I'll click on Conditional Formatting. Now, I want to use the rules, but I'm not using the T arrow year-on-year percent. Rather, I'll use the total review year-on-year. That's the very first measure. Total review year-on-year. This is what I'm going to use. I'll click on it. I'll simply say mean 0. When it's this, it should be red. Should be red. I'll add a new rule, and it's 0, and it's max. It should be green. More colors. So this should be green. Great. So once I'm done with this, I'll click on OK. This automatically changes the color. So if it's a negative, if it's a decrease, we should have a red color. Once I'm done with this, we need to do same for the average rating and the recommendation rate. So I'll quickly navigate back to the report we're trying to recreate. Remember, we need to measure. So for the average rating, we need a measure. This is the average year-on-year rating. It's a similar code to what we had before. I'll simply copy this. I'll navigate back to the reports. I'll create, of course, I want a new measure. New measure. I'll paste the measure. Now I'm having error because this is actually average ratings. but we don't have an average ratings measure yet. So we simply need to create an average rating measure. So I would commit this still. The average rating measure we had before now is actually linked to a text. So I'll come to this average rating. I'll simply copy this. I'll copy this. I'll make a copy of this. I'll just copy this text. I'll come to new measure. I'll paste. So we want to calculate the average ratings. I have to make sure we actually using the same spelling. So it's average, or better still, I'll leave it this way, average ratings. I'll commit this. That's the average rating. This is just a measure that calculates the average rating. The measure we're using here also calculates the average rating, but we're adding a text to it. We're calculating /5 to it. So I'll come back to this measure that is throwing error now. All we need to do is change this to what we have already, which is what we have now, the new average rating we created. So we're changing this to the average rating we created, the new measure we just created now. Remember, this is not date anymore. This is dim dates also. So this is the average rating. So with this, so here is the code. Average rating, going backward, average rating. So once we're done now, I'll commit this. Next, we need to go back to take the measure that would allow us to go with the indicator. That's the arrow that will indicate if the rating is actually going upward compared to the previous year or downward. So that's the actually average rating year on year percent. That's average rating year on year percent. That's average rating year on year percent. It's a similar code to what we had before now. So I'll simply copy this. I'll go back to our report, new measure. I'll paste the code. Now, the variable x is actually holding the average rating year on year. Average rating year on year. So this is just to say if the rating is going upwards or downward, just an arrow indicator. So I'll commit this. Once I'm done with that, I'll make a copy of this. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'll place it here. Now I want to check the T arrow year on year percent. I'll replace it with average year on year percent. Now I'm getting a green color even though it's a negative value. So what we need to do to correct that is come to format, call add value, conditional formatting. Remember, this conditional formatting is using the total review year on year, but we need to take the average rating year on year. So we come to the average rating, which is AVG year on year, not the year on year percent, AVG year on year. Once you selected that, I'll click on OK. Now we have the red to show that the rating is actually going downward compared to the previous year. So we'll do same for the recommendation rates. Quickly navigate back to the reports. First, we need to take the measure that calculates the year-on-year recommendation. This is the year-on-year recommendation rate. I'll copy this. I'll copy this measure. I'll navigate back to our report. I'll click on new measure. paste. So remember to change the date to the dimension date, that's dim date, dates. Okay, I'll commit this, that's recommend year on year. Then finally we need to go back and take the recommend year on year percent, that's for the arrow indicator. So I'll copy this code now, navigate back to the report. The reason I'm actually doing this copy and paste, I don't want to take so much time rewriting this measure because I want this video to be as short as possible. So I'll come to new measure, I'll paste the code, I'll commit it. Now I'll make one more copy of this small card we have here. I'll take it to the recommendation. I'm going to uncheck the average year on year percent now and replace it with the recommend year on year percent. Remember, the recommend year on year percent is actually an increase 3%. So what we need to do is go to the call out value, conditional formatting. Now we need to change the rule from the average year on year to recommend year on year. That's recommend year on year. And click on OK. Great. So with this, we're actually done with the card visuals. Let's quickly navigate to our reports. Next, we'll be creating this visual I have up here. It's actually a rating visual. So if I select this and come to visualizations, it's actually a rating visual. That's rating visual by TMEAG. If you don't have this visual, all you need to do is, if you don't have this visual here, all you need to do is come to get more visual, get more. While you're here, you can simply type rating. So you take the rating visual, that's the rating visual TMEAG. You can select the rating visual and import the rating visual to your Power BI. So once you select that, it's actually free, so you're not paying for that. So you can add it, to your visual collection. It's free, so you can add it, so you'll be able to create the next visual we want to create now. So what I'll do, I'll select the rating visual. Once I have the rating visual selected, I'll simply come to the average rating. That's the average rating. Here's the measure, average rating. I'll select the average rating. So I have this. I have this already. So what I'll do next is simply go to format. I want to go to general. I'll turn off the title. I don't need that. I'll go to the visual labels. I want to turn off the show percentage. I also want to turn off the show star value. I don't need those. So I'll simply reduce the size. Click, hold, drag. So while we're on the visual, I want to go to general once more, effect. I'll turn off the background color. I don't need the background color. So with this, we have the ratings. Great. So with this, we're actually done with the card visuals. Let's proceed to creating the other visuals we have in the report. So we start by creating, this is going to be a column chart, but I really don't like this chart anymore. I would like us to change it. But before we create this chart, we need to create a measure to actually show the weighting distribution in percentage. So for us to do that, I have a measure here that is actually called rating percentage. That's weighting percentage. I'll simply copy this measure now. This is why I actually created that column that said rating given, rating, or no rating. So I'll copy this measure, I'll copy this code, navigate back to our reports. I'll simply come to measure, new measure, I'll paste the code. Now I'm getting a lot of errors. The reason I'm getting errors is the table. So I'll simply delete the S that is attached to it. I'll delete the S because this table is actually named Fact Electronics Review, not Reviews. I'll delete the S. Also delete the S we have here. So if you cross-check very well, every other thing should be in order. It's a simple measure that will turn our rating given into percentages instead of having values. So I'll commit this. I'm simply going to pick a stacked bar chart or a clustered bar chart. I'll just take a bar chart. Once I have the bar chart selected, what I'm going to do next is, now I don't want to display the rating number, rather I want to display the icon. So on our fact table, I'll scroll down and pick the rating icon. Once I have the rating icon selected, I'll come to the DAX measure and pick the rating percentage. So with that, we should have this 5-star rating. So we can simply format this visual now. The first thing I'm going to do is come to format. For the y-axis, I'll turn off the title. I'll increase the size from 9 to 16. I'll change the color to black. For the x-axis, I'll turn off the values. I'll also turn off the title. We don't need both. And finally, for the title, I'll rename this. Let me quickly check. That's rating slash distribution. Okay, I'll just name it rating because we're not doing the distribution anymore. So I'll name this rating. I'll simply delete this. I'm okay. I'll change this to black. I'll centralize this also. So we can actually say rating distribution. Rating distribution. So I have this now. Next thing I'm going to do is simply come to format also. I'll scroll down. For the labels, I'll turn on the labels. So I'll go to the rating is actually displaying 0.2, 0.62 and all that. So I'll click on the measure. I'll change this to percentage. I'll reduce it from 2 decimal places. Okay, I'll leave it so it's cool. I'll leave it so. So now I can select the visuals once more and go to format. Go to data label. I'll scroll down. I'll change the series to, okay, we don't need to change the series. I'll go to value. This is values. I'll change the color to black. I'll probably increase the size to 10. Great. Now let's go to the bars and display. We need to change the color, the bars color. I'll go to the bars. I'll change the entire color. I want it to be black. Great. So this is the rating distribution. I'll finally go to format once more, general. I'll come to effect and turn off the background. So we have the rating distribution visual created already. Next, we need to create that's the average rating yearly trend. We already have a measure that calculates average rating already. So what we need to do is simply select our line charts. This is our line chart. I'll select the average rating measure. We have the average rating measure here already. I'll navigate to our dimension table and select the year. So it's actually doing the sum of the year. We take this to the x-axis. Great. So we have our rating distribution. So let's quickly format this. First, I'll come to format visual, general, effects. I'll turn off background. Then average rating, yearly trend. I'll go to the title, average rating yearly trend. I'll change the color to black, make sure it's black. I'll come to the visual, x-axis. I'll turn off the title. I'll leave the values. I'll go to the y-axis now. I'll turn off the values. I'll turn off the title. I'll come down to the line. I'll scroll down. The line type, I'll change it to step. Great. So let's quickly compare this to what we have. So I have the values displayed. We're going to turn on the markers, and we're also going to turn on the data label. So let's go back to our charts. I'll select the charts. First, format visual. We'll turn on the markers on the line. We scroll down to the colors. We change the color from blue to black. We also need to turn on the data label. Great. And finally, we can come to grid lines. We have the vertical lines turned on. We can turn it off. Or maybe we should turn it on. Looks cool. I'll select the line graph, line charts, or visual once more. Go to format, general. I'll go to the title. I would centralize the title. With this, we're actually done with the line charts or the line graph or the line visual. Next, this is actually the top review source. We can actually decide to use a clustered column chart for this instead of using these donut charts. So we can come back here and simply select stacked column, the reviews by the different sources. So what we need is the source dimension. I'll click on the review source. Now we come to the DAX measure and select total reviews. So I want to limit these to the top 4 rather than have those insignificant sources. So I'll expand the filters pane. I'll come to sources, basic filtering. I'll change it to top N. I'll say top 4 by total reviews. I'll click on apply. So this is actually the top 4. I'll close this, come to format visual. For the y-axis, I'll turn off the title. I'll change the color to black. For the x-axis, I'll turn off the values, I'll turn off the title. I'll come down to the data label, I'll turn on the data label. Next, I'm going to come to General, Title. I'll name the title Top 4 Review Sources. I'll centralize this, change the color to black, make sure it's black. Next, I'll come to the visual, go to the bars, change the color to 33333. Great. So with this, we have the top 4 review sources. Next, we need to create the matrix visual for the rating and the distribution by the brands. That's the rating distribution by the different brands. So what we're going to do next is simply is actually rating distribution by brands. So we're simply going to come to our reports now. We select our matrix visual. First, we need to select the brands. These are the brands we have. Next, we need to select the rating. So the facts, there's the rating icon. I'll scroll down, that's the facts table. I'll scroll down, pick the rating icon. Great. I'll come to the filters. I'll come to the rating icon. I'll select all and uncheck invalid rating. Great. Next, I'm going to simply select, that's the reviews now, not rating. I'll select the total reviews. Total reviews. This will automatically give us the review distribution by the different brands we have. 260, let's see. Sort by total reviews. Great. So we sort these by the total reviews descending. So while we're here, I'll simply select this matrix now. I'll come to the visualization. I'll search for global. I'll increase the font size to 12. Next, I'll select this. Select the matrix visual. Let me check compared to what we have here. Okay, so we're doing great. So I'll come to formats. For the grid, I'll come to the border. I'll change the color to 333. That's fine. And finally, I only need to do one more thing. I'll come to specific column. Okay, not specific column. Let's see, cell elements. Yes, cell elements, while the total reviews, I'll turn on background color. So I'll come to conditional formatting. Lowest value should receive a light color. The highest value should receive something darker, color that is a bit darker. So I have this. I'll click on OK, and we are good to go. So we'll label this, we'll give it a title, review distribution or reviews. What would the title be now? That's distribution by brands. Okay, that's total review. That's reviews. Turn on the title. We'll call this reviews. And finally, we'll say distribution by brands. I'll centralize this. Great, we're good to go. Next, we need to create the visual for the top. Let's go to our report. So this is the visual for the top 5, which is more like highly rated products, then lowly rated products, then highly recommended, lowly recommended products, and percentage. So what we need to do is simply a table. So we'll come to our report now, select the table visual. Once we have the table visual selected, what we need to do is first we are going to select the product URL. So we'll come to the dimension product. I don't know if, okay, we don't have the URL there, so we'll go to the fact table. We need the product URL, which is actually the image URL. We'll select the image URL. Now we're having the URL display here, so I'll select the URL column. I'll come to don't summarize. I'll come to categorize. I'll say this is an image URL. So remember to select the image URL column, have it selected, then go to data category and say it's actually an image URL. So we have the image URL now. Next, we need to select the average. This is actually highly rated or lowly rated, average rating. Great. So I'll expand the filters pane. What we want is actually the top 4 based on the average rating. Click on apply. Great. So we have the top 4 products based on the average rating. So for this, I'm simply going to expand this a bit, expand this a bit. Let's quickly go to format. For the style presets, none. Change the style preset to none. Let's compare this to what we have here. So, great, so this is what we have here, and it's okay, we're good to go. So instead of having image URL here, so what we'll do is simply come to our visual now and name this product. Say this is product. One thing I will also do is turn off the total. So I'll come to format, totals, turn off the total value. Finally, we'll come to general effects, turn off the background. One thing I'll do also is come to the visual. I'll scroll down to image size. I'll reduce the image size from 75 to probably 65. So 65 also. So we can fit it in here. That's what I'm trying to do. I also reduce the size once more, maybe 60. Let's go 50. Let's reduce the size to 50, or reduce the size to 50. So 50 is good. Great. So we have the highly rated product. So we're simply going to label this much more later now. Say highly rated product. So what we're going to do next is simply make a copy of this table. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'll make a copy of this table. I'll bring it down here. I'll come to the filter. I'll change this from top to bottom. Click on apply. So we have the lowly rated product. So next we need to create same table for highly recommended product and lowly recommended product. So I'll simply make a copy of this once more. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'll take it here. Now I want to check the rating, that's the average rating. Rather, I'll go to recommendation. That's the recommendation rates. We have a measure for recommendation rate. This is the recommendation rate measure. So I'll select the recommendation rate. Let's quickly see that. So we're having 100%, 100%. So this is the recommendation rate. I'll shorten the recommendation. So I'll say, let me check the report. What did I use here? Highly recommended. So I would come back here and rename this to highly recommend. Highly recommend. So we're good. So one thing we need to do here, even though we're saying highly recommend, remember we're filtering by the average rating. So we uncheck this filter. Now we have the top end. We still want the top 4, but we want it by the recommendation rates. Apply filter. Great. So this is actually the top 4. We have more than 4 actually, so it's also good. So I'm simply going to reduce this. So I'll make a copy of this now. One more copy. Take it down here. Now I'll come to the filter and change this from top to bottom to get the lowly recommended product. That's lowly recommended product. So these are the highly recommended product, then we have the lowly recommended product. So I'll rename this from highly recommended to, that's lowly recommend to highly recommend to lowly recommend. Hit the enter button. So what do we have here? So great. So we have the product average rating, the highly recommended, which is the highly rated product, lowly rated product, highly recommended, and lowly recommended products. Simply shift this a bit. So with this, we are almost done with the first page of the report. What we need to do is add labels to this. So I'll come to insert and insert a text box. I'll simply say, I'll be on my text box. Let's quickly go to the report to confirm. We have the highly rated, highly recommended, lowly rated, lowly recommended. So this will be highly rated. highly rated. I'll increase the size a bit to maybe 12. I'll come to effects. I'll turn off the background. I'll simply centralize this. I'll take this highly rated. I'll make a copy of this now. Home, make a copy, paste. This will be lowly rated. This will be lowly rated. I'll make one more copy. This will be highly recommended. This will be highly recommended. I'll increase the size. I'll make one more copy of this to give me lowly recommended. I'll take it here. So this will be lowly recommended products. Great. So I'll also make one more copy of this so we can add labels to so we have the ratings and reviews recommendations. And finally we have to create these bookmarks. Navigate to our reports. I'll paste the text box. So what we have here is ratings and review. I'll type ratings and reviews. I'll increase the size from 12 now. I'll make it maybe 18. I'll also make it bold. Wait, I'll make a copy of this now. I'll say recommendations. So I'll delete this. Recommendations. I missed one M. So great. Finally, we need to create a bookmark to navigate between the products and the brands. So this is actually for highly recommended products and lowly recommended products. So I had a bookmark top here where you can switch between the products and the brands. So when we come to our report here, this is actually for products. Everything here is about products. So when you click, you can actually switch to brands. So this is highly rated brands and lowly rated brands. So what we need to do now is navigate back to our reports. We already have for the highly rated products. So what we need to do is simply make a copy of this. I'll make a copy of this now. But before I do that, I'll simply come to View, Selection. I'll select this and call this table here. I'll just name this P1. I'll select the next table. I'll name this P2. P2. I'll select this table. I'll name this select this table. I'll name this P3 and select the last product table. I'll name this P4. Wait, so once I'm done with that, I'll simply make a copy of this table I have here. I'll come to home, copy, paste. Now in place of the product, I'll come to our visual. I will uncheck the product. That's the image URL I had there. I will uncheck this. I'll go to the dimension brand and click on the brand logo. So I'll select the brand logo now because I'm actually having the URL there instead of the brand logo. I'll select the brand logo. I'll come to data category. I'll change it to image URL. So now we have the brands and their logo. We have the brands and their logo. This is the brand and their logo. That's the brand. So I'm not going to say brand logo. I'll simply say brand. I'll rename this to brand. The next thing I'm going to do, I want the average rating to come. So I'll switch it. So we have the brand and the average rating. So this is the brand and the average rating. I don't need to go back and do the filtering to what would I call it, top or bottom. That's because it's the same average rating we're using. So I'll come to this table now. That's the lowly rated table. I'll make another copy of the lowly rated table. Once I have that copy made, I'll change the product also, take it to brand. I'll change it to brand. That's the brand logo. I'll switch the average rating on the brand logo. I want the brand logo to come first. So now I'll rename to brand. So this is actually for lowly rated brand. Wait, so that's lowly rated brand. So I'm just keeping these two tables here. We have the lowly rated, highly rated brand, lowly rated brand. So I'll do same for recommendation. I'll copy the recommendation. I'll copy the first table, that's the highly recommended. I'll make a copy of it. I'll paste. Now for this also, I will check the product. I'll select the brand logo. I'll swap. I'll take the highly recommend down. I'll take the logo up. I'll rename this from brand logo to brand. Hit the enter button. So I have the brand. Finally, I'll make a copy of the lowly rated, that's the lowly recommended product. I'll make a copy of it. Once I make the copy, I will check the product once more. I'll take it to brand logo. I'll swap, take the brand logo up. I'll rename the brand logo now to brand. Wait. So I have 8 tables here, 4 for the brand and 4 for the product. So what I'm going to do is simply expand my selection. So this is P1, P2, P3, P4. We have another P1, P2, P3, P4, which means I will rename this from this P1. I'll just select anyone, this P1. I'll take it to B1. The second P2, I'll name this, I'll rename this table. The tables I'm naming now are actually the brand table. I'll name this B2. Then this is the third brand table. I'll rename it from P to B3. Then for the last one, I'll rename it from P to B4. Great. So I have the 4 brand table. I have the 4 product table. So once I'm here, I'll come to view. I'll click on bookmarks. So once I have the bookmark selected, the first thing I'm going to do is I'll hide the 4 brand table. I'll hide this table, hide this table, hide this table, hide this table. Once I'm done, I'll click on add bookmark. I'll name this bookmark now. product. Next, I will unhide the brand tables, 4 brand tables. Now I'll hide the products table, that's P4, P3, P2, P1. I'll click on add bookmark. I'll name this brand. So brands or brand. The next thing I'm going to do is close this. I'll arrange, take the brand. This is for highly weighted brand. I'll fix it here to make it fit. I'll take the table for lowly weighted brand. I'll bring it down here also. So I have the highly rated brand, the lowly rated brand, highly recommended brand, and the lowly recommended brand. So I'll bring this here. This is actually for lowly recommended brands, so I'll take it down. Then I have for the highly recommended brands, I'll take it up. Great, so this is actually for the brand and we have the product hidden. So the next thing I'm going to do is on check. I'll come to insert, I'll come to buttons, navigator, bookmark navigator. So this is my bookmark navigator. I'll reduce the size. I'll simply come to shape. I'll go to general, I'll go to properties. I want to reduce the height to 30. I'll make it 35. I'll place this here. I'll increase the width. I'll simply increase the width. Small. Wait. Great, so this is what I want. So I'll select, I'll come to style, I'll increase the text, I'll change the color to black also. I'll increase the text. So this is on default actually. Now we have the brand selected, but we're actually on default. So on default, this is what I want. Okay, so on selected, I also want the font size to be increased. I'm okay with the dark, that's the black color to show it's selected. So next, when I hold down my control and click on products, the table automatically changes to products. Hold down my control, come to brands, changes to brands. That's just the idea of the bookmark. So once we're done with that, I think now we're actually done with the first page of the report. All we need to do, let's quickly confirm. Okay, so we don't have a slicer anymore, so we don't need this button. We only need to come with the dates, that's the dates slicer, then our title, which is electronic product ratings and review. So I'm simply going to copy this, we need to create also, this is going to be a page navigator. So come here, I'll simply just paste the title. So this is the title, I'll place it here. So finally, we need a page navigator. That's all we need to do is come to insert, buttons, navigator, page navigator. So we actually have the overview page and the review page. So I'll simply take this here. I'll move this here. Now this is actually the overview page. That's the page navigator. I'll bring it here, reduce the size a bit, and place it here. We are actually on the overview page. That's why the overview is actually highlighted or is actually dark. So this is the electronic product rating. Finally, only thing we need to do is just to add our date slicer here. So I'll click on the slicer. We don't really need the date. Okay, we need the dates. So I'll click on the slicer and navigate to our dates and click on dates. So we have our dates slicer up here. For our date slicer, I'm going to come to format. I'll turn off the slicer header. We don't need that. I'll go to general. I'll turn off effects, background. We don't need that. So I'll fix the date here. Nope. Excuse me. Go out. I'll just fit the date here. Great. So with this, we're actually done with the first page of the report, which is more like part one of the video. So I'll simply come to home. I'll click on file. I'll click on save. Just come here and save to make sure it's saved. So with this, we're actually done with the part one, which is the first page of the report. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel to always stay updated. Watch out for part two.